Launch Northwest became very, very public in Spokane in May of 2022 when we announced this very audacious goal of raising a Promise Scholarship and pairing that Promise Scholarship with the wraparound supports for children and families to make sure that every child, even the furthest from education and social justice, was able to graduate from high school and attend post-high school education. We want to make sure at Launch Northwest that every child travels their best journey to career attainment.
One thing I'll say in particular that is so positive and actually is critical to the success of any type of programming that's going to be supporting families and students is making sure you're including everyone from the start to the finish. And so that's very much connected to us within Spokane Public Schools, especially our Department of Family and Community Engagement, because one thing that we're doing in particular, we're looking for opportunities to make sure we can elevate families as well as student voice, as well as community member voices. And multiple ways we look at doing that. One is through mentoring programs as being an option, because if you look at the research, as well as begin to start exploring and talking to individuals, the key factor that helped them to be successful in life was a mentor. As a school district, this is something we've taken on within the last couple of years and saying, you know what do it means to elevate our partners' voice, because we got some awesome community partners who's working at mentoring right now, to even looking at within the school district that's serving 30,000 students. How do we move to a place to make sure that you're supporting a population of students who may not necessarily access mentoring services? But something that is critical is that partnership. So when you have organizations like Launch Northwest who are deciding to have a more global view and come in and begin to start bringing community partners together, broker resources, because it all comes down to the money that's available, which they've been focusing on. It becomes a partnership that has to happen.
My whole story and where I'm at today was because my brother and I took a chance and said, hey, I'm on the WSU campus and visit WSU and spend some time with me. Up until that point, I hadn't had a pathway to college whatsoever. And it was that he who said to me, you can do this. And one of the things that was missing, though, was then some intentionality beyond that. So, yeah, I started to think about doing that, but I didn't know how to apply to college. I didn't know how to fill out the FAFSA. I didn't understand what it was even like, other than this time that I spent at WSU. I didn't understand what the day of a college student was even going to be. So that spark, though, that started with a mentor that says, you can do this. There's something there for you, and you can be successful. Without that, I would still be working in a fast food industry right now, I can guarantee you.
Without having mentors in my life, I could not occupy the spaces that I'm currently in, even starting at an earlier age. Having an uncle who came in my life at a critical time and ultimately said, you will not fail. That is not an option. And ultimately, someone who seeded a vision for the future for me. Being from a small rural town that I was, I did not have access to the outside. So having a mentor who subscribed to National Geographic and who would sit down with me and allow for me to peruse through the pages to see the world. And while perusing through the pages would also say, one day, I'm going to take you to a place that's different from the Mississippi Delta region where it's flat, right? Where it's flat and great food, but it's very flat. And I'm going to take you to a place called Spokane. And in a place called Spokane, Washington, the Pacific Northwest, there's going to be great opportunities for you. And so now I see myself in a position being able to mentor. I'm a mentor, I mean, through and through. And I have probably countless students and children that I've been able to work with. And I have adults that I yet work with right now, because I believe that mentorship is the key to success for a lot of individuals.
It has been a challenging time for our young people. It's been a challenging time for adults. But here's what I know. I know that when we as adults provide the opportunity for children to understand their trauma, the trauma of a pandemic, the trauma of racism, when we help our children understand that, they are so resilient. And the challenge that I think we have as a community today is to rise up and provide the opportunities in the lives of our young people to deal with and understand that trauma that they've experienced. These young people have the opportunity to look back at this and say, we are amazing. Look at how we recovered. One of the first things that I would ask somebody who was questioning whether our young people should get this support or need this support would be the first thing. Would you like to be living their life? Would you like to be living in a world of social media the way it is? Would you like to be living through the pandemic when the connector for them was done through virtual means instead of that physical face-to-face in schools? And I think people would say, maybe, just maybe, I don't think I'd want to step into those shoes. Also think and understand that when we as adults give back to our young people, it lifts us up. We have experienced some of the same issues, some of the same trauma through the last 3 years. And we as adults can heal through helping others heal.
Students and families in the community in particular had to endure with the pandemic. Me personally working to help with food distribution, I helped with technology challenges. I worked with a lot of particular cases. One thing that I saw that was a positive that was coming out of it, right? There was a lot of negatives, but positive, it forced individuals to have to reprioritize around what is important to them, their family structures, and really look at their value system. Some individuals talked about, you know what? I didn't realize how great my kids was. I didn't have to spend that much time with them, right? I didn't realize that I needed a break. Some students, very challenging on students because many of them missed key rite of passages. They couldn't go to prom. At the same time, many of them did begin to start exploring the workforce and going into the work market. And so they began to start garnering specific skills and knowledge that's going to be critical to help them out. So I totally agree with Dan in terms of that resiliency, as well as being able to garner additional skills that's going to help them when it comes to life. I do think it could be awesome for an organization to think about giving some students some of those rite of passage opportunities. I think it could be amazing for organizations to say, you know what? We're going to put on a prom for everybody who missed prom in the last few years. I think there's also great opportunities that's ahead of us. And I think that we will give ourselves a decade or two. I think there will be individuals talking about we made it through.
One of the things that is really important to us as well is that student voice is part of Launch Northwest. We actually held a student town hall. We had over 60 high school students come and talk about and react to data about them. And our students are so honest, yet kind in their honesty, yet also impatient with us as adults to start listening to them differently than what we've had in the past. And so Launch Northwest, we actually have a high school student who's on our leadership council. We have 2 college students that are on our leadership council. And they are giving the student voice to the challenges that they see in this community. Our young people have great things to say, and we need to give them the space to do it.